Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight we have a special guest with us on the show. We have Steve Worley of Sacrificial Slaughter. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
So, Steve, you started this band back in 2001. So what was the metal scene like in your part of California back then, and why did you want to start your own band?
I was inspired by a lot of bands that came out of Southern California back in the late 90s and early 2000s. I always reference Cattle Decapitation was a big one for me. We used to see those guys way before they were on Metal Blade, and any of that ever happened. They used to play all over the place at small dives, and even I saw them at a coffee shop one time, or college campuses. They used to do all sorts of DIY stuff, and it was always a lot of fun to watch, and something that I really wanted to do myself. So that was a big inspiration for me. Then there was others, of course, Disgorge and Deeds of Flesh would always come down from the Bay Area. And I grew up right down the street from a really popular club that a lot of tours came through called the Showcase Theater here in Corona, California. And it was, if there was a band on tour, they were coming through the Showcase, and I lived right down the street, walking distance. So it was always the place to be, and gave me a lot of inspiration to start my own band. So that's what I did.
And how did you go about getting other people?
Actually, I started the band with a couple guys that I went to school with. I mean, we're talking 6th, 7th grade at the time. And we were listening to anything we can get our hands on. I forgot to mention Exhumed. The Gore Metal album was out right around that time, and it was played on repeat quite often. And just bands like that we'd listen to a lot. I remember really listening to Monstrosity when I was young, Severed Savior, and all the Unique Leader bands and Metal Blade bands and stuff like that. Anything we can get our hands on. I mean, 6 Feet Under, Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, all that stuff was fairly accessible, and it just fueled the fire, getting into it as a kid, listening to that music. I knew that I wanted to do something like that, or at least as best as I could. I mean, I would never put ourselves in the same category as some of those top tier bands, but I still strive to be one of those bands one day, and I think we're making good progress towards that.
And Steve, how would you describe your music?
This is a question we get asked a lot, and it's hard to describe, really. Well, I guess it's not that hard, but I mean, we're a death metal band through and through, but there's a lot of different elements to our sound. I mean, we use a lot of thrash riffs, and we like to grind it out a lot. There's a lot of blast beats, and we try to keep it upbeat and energetic, and I try to put as much energy into every single show as possible. So I hope that translates through our recorded music, and I feel that we accomplished that with the new album. So it's really upbeat and in your face, and I'm proud of it, and I'm looking forward to playing the songs live, and that's pretty much how I describe it. A good cross between death, thrash, and grindcore.
And now during your career with the band, you've had 3 full lengths, a single, a split, and like you said, you're about to release your new EP. So, Steve, what have been some of the struggles for you during your career with the band?
Well, I mean, there's always struggles. It's not easy, being dedicated to an underground death metal band, that's for sure. There's no monetary compensation for any of our efforts, and we accept that, full-heartedly, just knowing that we do this music because it's our passion. And so there's been lots of struggles across the way. I mean, obviously, financially, it's not easy. If you want to record a good album, you got to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's all self-funded. That's all stuff that we've done on our own, that, we've had to come up with ways to raise the money or whatever the case may be. But, the drive is there, and the passion is there, and we always find a way to make it happen. I'm not ready to roll over and die yet. So if I got an idea and I think, it's going to be a good one, or, we need to get back in the studio, I got the guys behind me. They're always there to put together some, good tunes, and we, do the best we can. And, luckily, thankfully, all of our releases have been a progression. So, I mean, every single one gets better and better every single time. So, that's enough right there to keep me going. I mean, as long as the progression is there and, you know, the band keeps, you know, growing and getting better and the releases get better and the feedback gets better, as long as everything is, you know, in a upward progression, I'll keep doing it.
And, you know, you guys have done a lot of touring as well. What have been some of your, like, most memorable tours that you've done?
Yeah, we have done quite a few, and there's been a lot of good memories, but shoot, I don't know. 2010 Pestilence tour was a fun one. I think the same year we toured Europe with Master, and that was a fun one. We spent like 6 weeks all over the Europe and UK, and it was just chaos. And, you know, I could go back a decade and think about crazy tours we've done, and that's another thing. When we tour, it just always gets better. Every tour has its low points, you know, there's ups and downs. No tour is perfect, but I always, you know, I don't dwell on the shit that happens on tour. I always think about the positive things, you know, mainly getting up there in front of all those people and just fucking leveling the place. You know, that's where I get my fix right there. You know, I get high off of that.
So, Steve, what's the current lineup of the band?
Well, we just picked up a new drummer. We got a guy named Josh Null. He is from the band Lord of War, so he's going to be helping us out on drums this time. The rest of the guys are the usual suspects. We got Necro Nick on guitar, George Dominguez on guitar. So we have a solid unit. I'm happy with the way things are turning out. Got a good group of guys. Everybody's real positive. Everybody's real excited and ready to hit the road.
So now you're about to release your EP, Generation of Terror. So tell us about the writing process of this album musically, and how do y'all go about writing your music together?
Well, it was a collaboration, as it always is. It was another one of those instances where, you know, the guys come together, and usually the guitar players have a riff idea, or they have multiple riff ideas or full song structures ready to go, and they show them to the rest of us. And, you know, we build off of it. Either we like it, or we, you know, pick it apart, change some parts, you know, do whatever we have to do and get it tight. I mean, usually the guys are real good about coming up with great riffs, and, you know, they have these songs that they work on, you know, their whole lives, and they just come to fruition when we, you know, get an idea and it fits and it works, and they have material that, you know, I'm sure we could probably squeeze out another album, and we probably will come next year. But the guys always have great material ready to go, and you know, now that we have a good drummer that we're working with, we'll probably be doing a lot more stuff. And so that's basically what they do. They just put the songs together first, and then we come back through with vocal ideas. Usually Necro Nick and I do the vocals. He does backups, and we write stuff together, and it's always worked out. So, like I said, I'm not unhappy with the way things have turned out on the latest release. It's definitely a progression, so it's turned out really well.
So now, lyrically, Steve, what are some of the songs about, and where do you draw your ideas for the lyrics from?
Well, once again, I mean, it was a collaboration. I think I wrote 2 or 3 of the songs, and our guitar player that played on the album, he's not on the upcoming tour with us, but the guy that played on the album, he wrote 2 or 3 of the songs. So it was a collaboration. I mean, he has an idea, and we kind of build off of the same theme. I mean, I came up with the Generation of Terror theme first, you know, well before we wrote anything. I just had an image in my mind. I was getting a lot of inspiration from kind of the fucked up shit that's been going on in the world with all the terrorist attacks. It was mainly after I started writing Generation of Terror after the attack that was in France at the Eagles of Death Metal concert. After that happened, I got all sorts of crazy shit in my head, and I came up with the title Generation of Terror. Like, that's, you know, that's the generation we live in. Mm-hmm. You can't turn on the TV or put the news on, you know, every day without hearing about some crazy fucking terrorist attack. So I just came up with the title Generation of Terror, and we just kind of built off of it. That's where my inspiration came from. I just wrote, you know, kind of stories. Like, I kind of put myself in that situation. Like, what would you do if you were there, if you were, you know, attending a concert and some crazy fucking shit happened and you had to react, you know, like, what would you do kind of thing. I kind of, you know, played it off like a like a first person scenario kind of deal. And so I kind of wrote some stories about situations like that. And like I said, the other guitar player wrote some lyrics too. So, I mean, we just came together kind of with a theme and just, wrote some fucked up crazy shit about what's going on in the world today. It is what it is. You can't hide from it. It's happening. I mean, you can close your eyes all you want, but that's why we wrote about it. It's happening. It's there. It's a real thing. So it's brutal. It's fucking crazy. It's evil. We fucking ran with it, and it's a brutal album. I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with it.
So where did you guys record this one, and who did the final mix and master?
We recorded it at the same place we recorded the last album, which was at Shark Studio in Czech Republic. And I chose that studio because our good friends Paul Speckman in Master lives and records his records out there in the Czech Republic, and they do a great job. It's convenient for us because we were already scheduled to tour in Europe, and it's not cheap to tour to Europe. There's, plane tickets are $1,000, and it doesn't matter if you go out there for a week or a month. So I figure if we're going to go out there, we might as well take advantage of the time and do as much as we can. So on top of touring for 3 weeks, we also took a week in the studio out there, and same thing we did last time. So we've done 2 albums there now, and they have great prices, they have great work, and they did the mixing and the mastering and everything, and I was happy with it. So everything's gone really well and really fallen into place, and like I said, that's the studio we've used for the last 2 albums, and we like it. So
okay, so let's talk a little bit about the cover art too. Very old school. Who was the artist, and what were you going for as far as cover art when you told him what you wanted?
Luis Sendon from Spain. I believe he's out there in Barcelona. He does a lot of artwork for a lot of festivals. That's where I first kind of noticed his artwork. We played some festivals wherever, and the artwork, like just the poster with all the bands and the artwork or whatever, was really fucking cool. So I looked up the artist, and he's done a whole bunch of shit. I hadn't heard of him at the time, but when I looked at his portfolio, I was blown away, and I really wanted to work with him. So I sent him an email, and he responded right away, and he had great rates. He was very reasonably priced, and I just loved his style. So we started throwing ideas around. I basically told him what I just told you about the terrorist attacks. I was trying to build a picture, just like when you're going to get tattooed. It's like you kind of have to put your brain with the artist, and like you have to get them to put what you're thinking on paper. So you really have to connect with somebody, and I feel like we nailed it, and he did exactly what I was going for. I mean, I didn't have to make any edits or anything. I mean, he started sending me pictures of the sketch, and I was just blown away, and every single time was just more and more just awesome, and the final product was just out of this world. So I was just blown away with his work, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it. So like I said, Luis Sendon, he was perfect for this job, and I'd love to work with him again. So you'll probably see more albums from us with his artwork on it. He's great.
And now, what formats is this going to be released on?
Right now it's in a digipack format. It's just digital and CD, but I'm trying to see if we can get it printed on LP. I mean, maybe a 7-inch. I don't know. I'd like to do something more with it. I'd probably do some vinyl. As of right now, it's just digital and CD, but I'd like to do some vinyl.
And are you guys going to be doing some touring now this year?
Oh yeah, we're just about out of here. We're gearing up here. In 2 weeks, we leave for tour with Vader. So that's going to be a good one. That's the Strike of the Empire tour. Starts out at Maryland Death Fest and then does the whole country. So Vader, Internal Bleeding, Sacrificial Slaughter, Voices of Ruin, and Macabre on the Strike of the Empire tour.
And so, Steve, where can people go to learn more about the band, what you guys got going on, all your tour dates, all that kind of thing?
Facebook is, the way to go. So if you type in Sacrificial Slaughter, we'll pop right up and see all the tour dates, all the new album shit, and everything's there.
All right, well then there you have it. Sacrificial Slaughter new EP releases May 12th on Horror, Pain, Gore, Death Productions. They will be on tour as well as at the Las Vegas Death Fest. And Steve, thank you for coming on the show, and all the best to you and the guys on tour.
Thank you very much.